I'm sorry. Okay? I'm sorry. 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 I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, okay?
Hey you. Welcome back to I'm Sorry, Okay? A podcast where we are watching so much Degrassi. I'm Mary here with Paul and LD. This week we watched Season 2, Episode 7 of Degrassi Junior High, Bottled Up. This episode was written by Susan Nielsen, directed by Kit Hood, and originally aired on February 15th, 1988. In this episode, an understanding Rick helps Kathleen cope with her alcoholic mother, and Scooter decides to shed his nerd image.
I wouldn't actually say that either of those are really accurate descriptions for this episode.
TV Guide didn't really have a very good description this week, but my commitment to them is strong, so I went with it.
It's like they didn't watch the whole episode. They just watched like one scene from the beginning and one scene from the end. And they were like, we got it.
We get the gist of this.
I mean, that's what I did to get ready for this. That's not what you're supposed to do?
I do have a content warning for this episode. We will be discussing alcoholism, physical abuse, and child neglect. If you'd rather avoid that content, you can skip this episode and join us next week for Sealed with a Kiss. And another note, this episode is mislabeled on the official Degrassi Junior High YouTube channel, so we watched it on the PBS YouTube channel, where the episode number is also mislabeled, but the title is correct.
Good luck, y'all.
Good luck out there. Just make sure you look for Bottled Up and that Kathleen is in the opening scene, basically.
I don't understand. The Degrassi YouTube channel has like one function, and it is to be the Degrassi YouTube channel.
The official source for the correct Degrassi eps.
I mean, they're providing free quality content to all of us, so I'm going to try and not be mad about it, but it is confusing.
It is a vital service.
All right, so we start this episode with Kathleen arriving home from school, excitedly telling her mom that she made the Quest for the Best team, but her mom is lying on the couch and appears to be passed out from drinking too much alcohol. So Kathleen wakes her mom up and is trying to convince her to go to bed when the phone rings. It's her dad, and she tells him that she made the Quest for the Best team and is going to be on TV, and asks if he'll be back in time for the taping, but he won't.
This is...
It
First
just
of all,
keeps
such a
getting like
bummer,
spiraling
yeah.
like worse and worse and worse, this opening scene.
It's funny because it's not the last time that they're going to employ this like absent dad, alcoholic mom trope on Degrassi. But
Right.
This is obviously Kathleen is the blueprint for just a dysfunctional family.
I mean, momming mom is never a good thing. No one wants to have to mom.
I have been Kathleen on a bit of a different level, but I have mommed my mom, and no one wants to do that when they're 13.
No.
Yeah. And so not only is she momming her mom, but throughout the episode, she's also covering for her mom. So her dad asks about her mother and she lies, telling him that she's fine, but she can't talk right now because she went to the store. And so this is the first of many times that Kathleen, she sort of covers for her mom, but it's also sort of for Kathleen's own benefit because, you know, she's like embarrassed about the situation.
I mean, fair.
Yeah. And I did want to note, you know, we're not big fans of Kathleen, but we will try to be sensitive to her situation in this episode. Everyone deserves to feel safe and secure at home, but we're still going to hold her accountable for her actions.
Absolutely. I just keep making hand gestures. and like
you just keep
faces
making
there's-
the most disgusted faces.
We're both going wild with our hands right now for the benefit of nobody but ourselves.
Just like imagine the jazz hands, and also kind of like the hand out to the side kind of girl emoji.
Yes, and also a little bit of the like reality TV when you're in a fight and then you start kind of putting your finger in somebody's
Index
face.
finger in the air.
Yeah.
Lots of pointing.
The sass.
Yeah, there's a lot of that.
So one other thing we should note is that Kathleen's mom is played by the real life mother of the actor who plays Snake.
We absolutely love to see it. We love like a generational acting family.
Absolutely.
I would also like to slip in, I don't know if you guys noticed in the credits that Scooter is the real life brother of Susie.
Oh.
Adorable.
Aw.
What a cute little fam.
Yeah.
Very cute. All right. Do we have anything else to say about this opening scene? It's pretty dark. Like, it's really kind of setting the tone for the rest of the episode.
It's going there. Yeah.
It's going there. Yeah.
Yeah, it's 100% intense. It is not messing around.
Mm.
And then of course we just cut right to the opening theme.
Let's get peppy.
I mean, it's not unlike when we had the episode about Rick's home life and we were talking about how
Right.
jarring that is, but how it does kind of mimic that feeling of moving through the world when you've got this kind of like dark home life, but then have to go and pretend to be okay.
Totally.
Absolutely.
And I think that it's different because Rick was very clearly kind of portrayed as a working class kid and like coming from a working class family, and he's from an area of town that Caitlin hadn't been to, and there was that factory, and then Kathleen is supposed to come from like an affluent or more affluent
She seems like
family.
she's in like a full house. Rick was in like an apartment, it looked like.
Yeah. So I also like that they're showing that it's like you can come from any kind of family
Mhm.
and
Right.
and there can be darkness.
Yeah.
In Miss Avery's class at school, there's an announcement that next Thursday, 4 Degrassi students will take on Lieberman Junior High on the next episode of the Quest for the Best TV Quiz Show.
I feel like quiz TV shows are such a thing on TV. Like, I feel like that's been a thing on multiple like teen kind of shows. And I feel like it was a thing later on Degrassi also. But did you guys do any kind of like school quizzing knowledge-based activities?
No, I actually even opted out of participating in our class spelling bee. It was optional,
Yeah.
and I was like, no, thank you. I don't care to compete.
I was way too much of an underachiever to be involved in anything like that.
All right, I would like to tell you a tale then. Okay, so first of all, obviously I did the spelling bee, and as your local just like pedantic jerk, I got second place, but in my defense, they gave me the word fluorescent and I didn't know that the
Ooh.
U came before the O, and then the kid after me got bathtub. And so like I'm still carrying that with me in my quest for like justice and fairness in my life. I always think of Bobby getting bathtub.
Bathtub Bobby.
Yeah. But yeah, so I was in something called Battle of the Books. And when I was in grade school, I went to private school where literally everything is a competition. And so we were like given a reading list. You I guess like read all the books, and then you have a team and you go to other schools and you sit in the library and they ask questions, and it's basically exactly like this, and you answer questions about the books on this reading list.
That's fun.
Yeah, it was like a tiny little book Rain Man.
I mean, I think that's the sort of thing that I would have enjoyed watching as a kid. Like if it was like sort of an assembly, or I don't know if I would have gotten tickets like they do in this episode. But, if it's something where it's just like, oh, during school, there's going to be this little game show, I would have been like, yes, I will sit and watch and have a great time.
Oh, it was after school.
Yeah, if it was a TV taping, I feel like I would absolutely be there.
We got t-shirts. They had the little they had a book with like a little face on it, and it was like, B.O.B. Battle of the Books. And I mean, I was a champion, I'll be honest. Like, I was the star player on my
You were the Kathleen.
I was the Kathleen.
Oh, shit.
No, I only in that sense.
I mean, we'll see later on that this team is extremely dependent upon Kathleen. So
Yeah, I was the kid that knew all of the facts. Like I could retain absolutely everything about every book that I read. But I was absolutely not a Kathleen because I wasn't like a leader. I was a background person, and I was also heavily bullied as a child.
no. I mean, but also it's cool that your school, that Degrassi, that there's like academically competitive things to be involved in. It's not all about
just
sports.
Hey.
Hey. So the announcement also says that tickets will be available through our favorite Degrassi adult, Doris Bell, and cautions that tickets will be limited. That's some foreshadowing for later on. The team meets up in the hallway after class, and Nancy asks Kathleen a quiz question and tells everyone that Miss Avery gave them a huge list of sample questions to study.
She also is then like, my parents are going to be so proud of me, which is literally like never a thing I've said. Like, I was just like, who starts a conversation like that?
No, and then everyone agrees that their parents will also be so proud of them. This is not a conversation that teens have ever had.
I mean, if you're a bunch of nerds that are about to be on a quiz game show, I know, LD, you have your own experience, but I'm imagining like a group of like normal, not like us kids that are just like, oh boy, I really achieved, and now I'm going to be on this show. I don't know. This episode is about a bunch of nerds, right? Like, we're going to get into it later with our B plot, but like, we're dealing with a group of 4 nerds, and like, yeah, they probably are really excited that their parents are going to be so proud of them.
I mean, I just feel like they would be more excited about being on TV than someone being proud of them. But maybe that's just me, and that's why I'm not making the quiz show TV team.
And yeah, so we get our first sort of like, it's understandable that Kathleen is getting a little defensive in this situation. Like, everyone's just talking about how like their parents are going to feel, and it's going to be such a positive experience. And she's already probably just playing out like, yeah, okay.
So Kathleen interrupts to tell them that her mom said she'd buy her a brand new outfit for the show. But Caitlin tells her, no one's going to see it under your school sweater.
Yeah, immediately drags her.
Yeah, and so I think it's sort of like we've seen Kathleen say things like this before, but like the reason that it's so clunky is because they're trying to set it up like in the scene of like why Kathleen says things like this, like why she brags like this. And it's because she doesn't feel like her parents are going to be proud of her. Her dad's not going to be there, and she's doubtful that her mom is going to like actually show up for her either.
Dang.
I also feel like with Kathleen, it's a very like bitch eating crackers situation. Like, do you remember that meme where it was like, okay, so this was like a maybe somewhere between 2008 and 2010, like internet
ancient
moment.
Memes.
Yeah, where it was. I don't even know if it was like a tweet. Was it a Tumblr post? Who knows? It could be anything. It could have been truly anything. But it was like, when you hate somebody, everything they do becomes offensive. Like, look at that bitch over there eating crackers like she owns the place. And so then like on Tumblr, you would get people who would like reblog someone and like tear everything they were saying down. And someone would be like, right, you're only doing this because you don't like them, not because their points were bad or their post was bad. This is just a bitch eating crackers thing. And it became like a total kind of internet shorthand for like everything this person does annoys you just because you don't like them. And I feel like that's kind of how it's gotten between Caitlin and Kathleen. It's like, and obviously like this episode is focusing on her and is meant to humanize her. But up until now, we've had many, many episodes where she is being unnecessarily cruel to other people. She is sitting on the front steps and like harassing Spike and Shane. She is spreading rumors that Caitlin is a lesbian and that Miss Avery is a lesbian.
Going out of her way to like sort of not be cool to other people.
Yeah, she wants to deflect any kind of negative attention from herself should anyone find out anything about her home life. But you know, she hasn't really been a friend to her friends, right? And so I think that at this point we're seeing this Caitlin and Kathleen kind of frenemy relationship come to a bit of a head here. And I think there's a lot of complicated dynamics, but it's turning into a situation where no matter what Kathleen says, Caitlin's like sniping back now. She's not, no one's rolling their eyes and just being like, oh, that's just Kathleen. Now Caitlin is just like, absolutely not. I'm not listening to this. Yeah, she's over it.
Yeah. Nancy reveals herself as the mom friend and reminds everyone that they're practicing tomorrow at lunchtime. Kathleen agrees, but says she doesn't need any practice.
Sure.
And then walks away, and Caitlin mocks her and is like, I don't need any practice.
Yep. And Tim says that Kathleen can be a little weird sometimes. Caitlin calls her a jerk, and Nancy agrees, but says it's good she's on their team because she knows a lot.
Yeah.
True bipartisanship. Like, Nancy's got a career in politics because she is willing to eat shit in order to win. I like Nancy. We haven't really seen much of her yet. Like, we've seen her in a lot of background shots, but I think this is really the first time we're finding out, A, she has a name, and B, she's like getting actual lines, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yes. And according to the Degrassi fandom Wikipedia, Tim and Nancy are best friends.
Well, that's nice.
Next, our new B-plot pals, Scooter and Max, are talking about Dungeons and Dragons while Scooter unlocks his wagon from the bike rack. Arthur and Yick overhear them talking about D&D as they walk by, and Arthur tells them,
Dungeons and Dragons? That's for nerds.
Those are nerds.
I don't like that Arthur and Nick have become bullies.
I know, like, I was like, what the hell, Arthur? Like, why is this your concern? I did think that Arthur's holding a basketball, so apparently he's a jock now and is no longer a nerd.
I don't buy it. He's still wearing like his house key around his neck.
True. All right, and so Yick kind of like agrees with Arthur here and says it's very uncool and almost as bad as having a wagon.
Boo.
Damn.
Boo.
Max and Scooter don't feel like nerds, but Scooter thinks
When the other nerds in school call us nerds, we're in trouble.
He's also like, the wagon's for my paper route. And
I
I'm kind of
know.
like, you do not need to bring that to school, dog. Like, just, it's fine. Leave it at home.
Yeah, but also he's a working man. You can't give him a hard time for that. Yeah, we love that spirit.
There's a whole documentary about like the disappearance of the paper route.
Oh, I had a paper route when I was a kid.
Did you?
What?
How was it?
It was okay. I had to like bag all, like they would give us stacks of newspapers. I'd have to put them each in their little individual baggies and then like get them out to each door. And I think I'd have to then once a month go around and knock on people's doors, which I was doing this at like 11. I was kind of young to be doing stuff like this. But you'd like go and knock on random strangers' doors and give them this little ticket that they could like call and donate money. And if they like use your ticket, that like affected how much you got paid. It was a weird scheme.
No.
The Bartlett Examiner.
Did you have a wagon?
I did not have a wagon. No.
How did
were
you
you
transport the
transport?
newspapers?
My parents helped me.
Did you
Wait,
have,
like, did they walk behind you holding all the newspapers, or
Was
they
your
drove
dad
you?
driving you?
Yeah, one of them drove me, I think.
Oh, well, they probably were like, it's not safe out there on your own.
In the suburbs.
Yeah, seriously. Look, I was a nerd.
Hey, man, not to get too true crime on this podcast, but there were a couple paper boys who I believe went missing in the 80s or 90s. So your mom was probably afraid.
Fair.
So Rick walks by and high fives bro while rock music plays. And Max tells Scooter that he's probably never been called a nerd. Although he has been called a criminal, so I guess it depends on what you think is worse.
By the same people that are calling Max and Scooter nerds, actually.
Yeah, exactly. By the same little bullying crew.
Judgy Wudgy was a bear, man. This actually reminds me a lot of the B plot we saw earlier with Arthur and Yick, where they want to be as tall as Snake. But this is like, how can we be as cool as Rick?
Yes, I also said it was like they're stalking B plots, but this is less creepy. But yes, I think it's definitely like a throwback, and I have to say I appreciate the new version more than I appreciated the old version, which made absolutely no sense to me. And honestly, the old version was way nerdier than like these two. So like, who are the true nerds here?
It's us.
It's us. Scooter agrees that Rick is as cool as a popsicle. And Max decides that they should be like Rick and do whatever he does. But Scooter's worried that he might do something weird.
Fair.
Totally fair.
You never know.
I also wondered if anyone checked Arthur and Yick's hands for cheesy dust last week, because I think that they could be Scooter's lunchtime bullies, since someone threw his cheesies on top of the lockers, just like you might throw a basketball.
Oh my God.
Oh my God. You are going true crime.
I think someone needs to investigate this.
And you are a white woman with a podcast. So I think
so it's got to be me. There's not a lot of evidence available to me, but I'm pretty sure that I have identified the culprits.
Wow.
I just did one of those hand motions where you kind of wipe them together like case closed, boys.
We've solved this one. All right, so next, the quest for the best team is practicing in the library, and Caitlin is quizzing Nancy, but Kathleen interrupts to say that she knows the answer. Caitlin tells her to wait her turn, and Nancy answers correctly. This is like the most annoying thing you could possibly do in like a study like situation.
Yeah.
Just let her answer.
Zero chill.
She wasn't struggling.
No, she just needed to think.
So Caitlin then asks Kathleen her question, which coincidentally is about whether alcohol is a depressant or a stimulant.
Well, that is a coincidence. I wonder if Kathleen knows anything about this.
Does she? Well, Kathleen says it's a depressant, which is the correct answer. And Tim says it sure stimulates his parents sometimes.
Oh.
And everyone laughs until Kathleen says drinking is stupid.
Sure.
I actually think that's fair enough for a 13-year-old.
Yeah. She's technically not wrong.
I don't drink. I don't enjoy it.
She's not wrong, but I feel like Tim was just kind of making a joke and it involved his parents. So it kind of felt like Kathleen was being judgmental towards his parents for doing something. Like Caitlin says, like, drinking is okay in moderation. And Nancy says her parents have wine with dinner, but they're not alcoholics. So, yeah, I think that they sort of get mad just because it seems like she's kind of putting Tim down.
And his parents.
Yeah.
Caitlin, again, though, like immediately, like she's snapped at her twice in this scene. The first is her being like, wait your turn. And then, she's giving her that kind of like look and tone that you give to a toddler. Because then when Kathleen's like drinking stupid, Caitlin's immediately just like, it's fine in moderation. Like very deadpan, just kind of like, shut up, Kathleen.
Yeah. Yeah. These two are really like coming to a head in this situation. It's been brewing. In the next scene, Doris is handing out tickets for the quiz show and reminds everyone to wear their Degrassi sweaters to make sure that they look really great out there.
I would just like to say that we have now come upon my look of the week.
Oh.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah. Scooter, oh my God. He is in a like white short sleeve button down with a dope pattern and matching shorts. He is in this just like sick co-ord. And then he's got like tube socks. And I swear to God, he is wearing deck shoes.
Why the fuck are you wearing a pair of deck shoes, man?
But this look is sick as hell. I would not probably personally look good in it, but I absolutely have nothing but respect for this patterned look.
It's dedication.
I also love a matching set, and he's really working it from head to toe.
Yes.
He's on it.
This is the second time Scooter has been my look of the week too. So he's like really becoming kind of like a strong contender.
I like that he's got a lot of casual looks, and then he will just bust something out that's just like, oh, he must be feeling it today. He's got some like special occasion looks too.
Oh yeah.
So Max and Scooter are so stoked on their tickets that they walk right into Rick and knock his books and things out of his hands. They apologize and start to pick his things up for him, and Max grabs a pack of cigarettes that Rick has dropped and hands them back.
Oopsie daisy.
After Rick walks away, Max asks Scooter,
Got any money? What do you want money for?
For cigarettes, dummy.
What?
You want to be cool, right?
But I heard smoking was hazardous to your health.
Obviously. Like me and Scooter are like on the same wavelength here.
Oh, definitely. We've talked about Dare before on this show, but I think I was definitely the target audience for Dare. Like
Right.
they were just like, just say no, and I was like, okay.
Yes.
And then people would be like, do you want a cigarette? And I'd be like, no.
No, bro.
I was more
Nah.
like, thanks for all this information. Do I want a cigarette? Yeah, I think I do.
Oh man.
We also just get like kind of a total nerd move that these two are right on top of buying tickets. They're like on it. They probably got like the third and fourth tickets to go.
Oh yeah, they were like second in line. They were just like, we have to get them.
Like camped out.
Weren't you paying attention to the announcement?
There's a limited quantity.
I talk this way because I know how it goes. Exactly how it goes.
I also, since when are there Degrassi sweaters? These are beautiful. Why
Oh
haven't
my
we heard of
God.
this before?
I love every single piece of Degrassi merch. The
It's all
t-shirt,
good.
the t-shirt is so sick, but this
Mhm.
this sweater.
Well, okay, I think we haven't seen the sweater yet, so let's hold off on our appreciation. This is when it's first put, the seed is planted that Degrassi sweaters are coming our way. So, the QFTB team is still in the library when Miss Avery walks in with a VHS tape of last week's show featuring their competition. Miss Avery makes sure to touch at least one shoulder before she leaves. It was Caitlin's.
Lesbians. Yeah, I've got a lot of information here on tapes and VCRs.
Okay, yeah. So Nancy asks where they can watch it, and Tim tells them that the VCR that they typically use to watch soap operas in the library is broken. Caitlin's family has...
That's such a like public school in the 1980s problem, by the way.
You just know someone like shoved a Pop-Tart in there.
Or like Amadeus. Has anyone checked on him recently? Caitlin's family has house guests, so they can't watch it there, and Tim and Nancy don't have VCRs. Everyone turns their attention to Kathleen. Kathleen says they can't go to her house, but they already know that she has a VCR because she bragged about it when she first got it, per Caitlin. So
Love
they are
the universe building there.
Yes.
Great stuff.
So that tracks. So they
we
all
could
start
see it
asking
happening.
why they can't watch it there. She tells them that her mom isn't feeling well, but they promise to be quiet, and they all heavily peer pressure her into letting them watch the show at her house.
Yeah.
They
Yeah, I
are
didn't like
being
that.
super pushy here. Like,
Yeah.
if anyone just said like, my mom's not feeling well,
That's that.
Yeah.
that's enough. No one wants to go hang out at someone's house while their mom is sick.
No.
It's a
And that
vibe
could
killer.
really mean like anything. So it is like, yeah, it is a, like, I wonder if they're just kind of curious about Kathleen's house or something, because they are, or if they're just so dedicated to watching this tape, because they are like pushing pretty strongly here to like go to her house.
Miss Avery kind of dropped this tape at the last minute, which felt a little inappropriate to me. Like, that's a little added pressure that I don't think these kids needed.
Yeah. Also, I'm sorry. Do they not already watch the show? Like, they are on a team that's going to be on. Why have they not already watched it? But I now have some facts for you about VCRs.
Lay 'em on me.
Okay.
Yes.
So, first of all, I had to start with what the fuck does VCR stand for, right? Because I don't actually know. So, VCR stands for video cassette recorder, which played VHS, video home system tapes. Never knew that is what that stood for, right? Okay, so the first prototype for a VCR was invented in 1953. That is a long time ago, my friends, by Dr. Norikazu Sawazaki. The first at-home VCR was produced in 1963 in Nottingham over here in the old UK. And it cost £60, which is, yes, I adjusted for inflation. Are you ready? It is £1,782 and 89p here today, which, hold on, is 2,467 American dollars and 87 cents. And Canadian, it is $3,133 and 83 cents. All right. So that is just a lot of money.
Wow.
So the first VCRs to sell in North America were like around the mid 70s, and they cost $1,400 when they first hit the market. And then by 1983, they were around like hovering around 550. According to the New York Times, in 1984, 1 in 7 homes had a VCR. So it actually does kind of track that, like, most of these kids don't have one.
Yeah, this is 88, I think. Yeah.
Yeah. And by 1990, 66% of households had them. So basically, of course, like, only a couple of these kids had one because a VCR at this time cost like $500. And that's like well over $1,000 at this point. So for like any working class family, or even like any family in general, like $1,000 for a VCR is obscene. But what really made them become kind of more affordable was the fact that like all of these places like Blockbuster and, you know, all these like video rental stores came out, and suddenly they started being like mass produced so that people could rent movies. And that's when they became like, you know, a couple hundred.
You didn't have to choose between a VCR or an iPhone anymore, which is good.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's nice.
So in our B plot, Max takes Scooter to a pizza parlor so they can buy cigarettes from a cigarette vending machine. But Scooter is still concerned about all of the bad effects of smoking. Max puts their money into the machine and makes a selection, but nothing comes out, so he starts abusing the machine, which catches the attention of the pizza man, who starts yelling, "Hey!" Well, they run away.
Hey! Very passively. I like that he gave as much effort as was deserved in that situation. It's just sort of like, stupid kid, get out of here.
It was kind of like a, hey, scram.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. My favorite pizza place in my hometown had one of these machines. I remember seeing it as a kid and like not really getting what it was, but I could tell it did not dispense candy.
So a pizza and cigarette vending machines do go together. I had a question about that because I thought it was more common in like a bowling alley or a bar or a hotel or something like that.
Yeah, no, I just remember that.
Yeah, I always thought of them as a bowling alley thing.
That also makes sense, though.
Well, apparently cigarettes and pizza are a winning combination.
But if you smoke too many cigarettes, it really affects your taste buds, and then you don't taste the pizza as much. So you might as well not even have pizza if you smoke.
Or it just makes it so you want to eat more pizza.
Well, actually, I think cigarettes are like an appetite suppressant. So you would want to eat less pizza.
That's messed up. I don't know.
I don't want to participate in anything that makes me want to eat less pizza.
I choose pizza over cigarettes. That should be the actual DARE campaign. I choose pizza.
Dare to choose pizza.
I want that shirt. So Next, the quest for the best team heads to Kathleen's house after school, and the scene opens with a shot of 2 bottles of liquor sitting on the living room table as Kathleen checks to make sure her mom isn't around before inviting everyone in. Tim rudely points out that the house is a mess, and Nancy says it must be the maid's week off.
Ugh, mind your business.
Yeah, people would say things like, I feel like kids do say things like this that are like extremely like rude, but they will kind of make comments about other people's houses and things that are not cool.
I also feel like, though, if it were me, I would have asked everybody to wait outside real quick and be like, oh, I just want to check if my mom's like feeling better. And I possibly would have like gone upstairs to like check to see what her general state was before bringing people in. Into the eye of the storm.
Yeah, they were already so like pressure-y though that maybe, I don't know.
Ugh.
Yeah.
Kathleen might be kind of in like panic mode right now, so I don't think she's like really thinking it through. Maybe
she's not thinking on her feet.
Yeah. So she again says that her mom isn't feeling well, and they all sit down to watch the tape. Kathleen finds an open bag of chips in the living room and decides to eat them, and everyone starts talking about the show until Kathleen's mom stumbles down the stairs with a drink in her hand.
Okay, can I just say, though, the chat around them watching this tape, they're all like, oh, which team is it again? And
they say that like 5 times.
Yeah, first of all, they say it like 100 times. But also I'm like, guys, you're like a bunch of competitive nerds. You absolutely know which team it is.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like
no,
they probably just told them to like ad-lib some conversation, and this was the best that a bunch of kids could do. I was just like, maybe they should have scripted this.
So it's that team? Yeah, I think it's that team. It's that one? Yeah, it's that team. That's like,
oh, look at that guy. He's kind of cute.
I liked that little comment, actually.
Yeah. Yeah, I like that they were already like horny for a guy on the other team.
Sure, I believe that.
That's classic. But yeah, a lot of like chattering going on.
And then, yeah, mom just like descends down the stairs.
Looming in the background.
Like Nosferatu. Like just really, ooh, mom.
So Kathleen, Kathleen tries to tell her mom, like, this is the team, mom, like they're here studying. You should go to bed because you look sick. But her mom's like, I feel fine. Everyone is noticeably uncomfortable as Mrs. Mead starts to tell them about how smart she was back in school before she got married and had Kathleen. This is like total cringe. Kathleen begs her to go to bed, but her mom says she wants to stay and talk as she falls into the chair where Tim is sitting and he jumps up. She like practically falls into his lap. Like
absolute mess. And basically telling a bunch of kids who don't like your kid, my life was great until I had my kid.
Oh.
Woof. Poor Kathleen.
Degrassi's really good at just like building these little like tense moments. We've seen it a few times before, but like in this scene, just like it's totally silent, but also there's like the awkward audio from the quiz show that's still going, which just to me, like, because it's so stale, this host is just like a charisma vacuum. And so like that's the only reprieve that like the viewer gets is just like this awkward old white guy like, wow, now it's time for, it's just not good. No one wants to hear it.
Yeah. So everyone gets up when Tim does, and they decide to leave. And Caitlin tells Mrs. Mead that it was nice to meet her. Nancy tells Kathleen not to worry. They don't need to watch the tape. So they're trying to be polite about this situation, but they're obviously extremely uncomfortable. And then Mrs. Mead calls them a boring bunch and asks Kathleen to turn the TV down because mommy's got a headache. And Kathleen runs up to her room to cry.
Kathleen just brings that like crying in bed, fully clothed energy that we've all come, I think, to expect from teen dramas. Like she just flops right down with her teddy bear.
Like assume the position. Yes, we're laughing, but this is terrible.
No,
It's
I mean,
so bad.
Yeah.
I had a friend in elementary school whose dad was like, I kind of witnessed his like transition into like a dependency issue. He like tried to open a business that didn't really work out, and then he was just around a lot. He was never like getting in our faces like her mom was here, but you'd have to like walk past him like in an easy chair, like just kind of disheveled, and it was this awkward at the like the awkward silent tension thing that I mentioned before. It was exactly like that. I mean, I don't think there was ever anything as like extreme as what we see in this episode going on, but yeah, it's just another thing where it's just like no one wants to see this.
And also, like, 13-year-olds don't really know what to do because
Oh yeah,
they're not primed for that. You know, they haven't
No,
experienced that.
I didn't really understand what like alcoholism was or what it meant to be like an at-home during the day like drunk parent, like what that's like. So I mean, I don't know.
It's not the way that you're expecting an adult to act. And you're not totally sure what's going on. So yeah, there's really no way as a kid to know like how to react to something like that. Okay. So before school the next day, Rick walks up in his school sweater looking adorable and asks,
looking like he's in my look of the week. I'm gonna let you finish, but Rick is just killing it in these classic blue jeans, white t-shirt with a blue cardigan. The Degrassi, as we've already said, just the Degrassi junior high merch is just constantly killing me. It looks great here, and we get a shot later that he's in some like Vans or something. Love it.
Yeah, okay, so Paul has set the scene for this look. So then Rick kind of like he puts his like knee on the step and like rests his arm, like so he's in this like little pose, and then he asks Caitlin if she wants to go out for a burger after the show. A very cute date.
She's kind of distracted, like, but she does agree to go out with him, and we will get to this later, but I'm very annoyed at how this plays out.
Yeah, there's some weird communication here.
Unclear why she agreed to this date in the first place.
Or, yes, didn't communicate when plans had changed. But anyway, so yeah, she says yes, but she doesn't seem that excited because
she seems distracted,
she's
actually,
distracted
which could
with worry
contribute to the
about
situation.
Kathleen.
Yeah.
She asks Rick about when he was having problems with his dad, and he tells her that he's still having problems with him, and that's why he lives with his brother. She asks how he felt when the social worker butted in because Kathleen's mom was acting really weird yesterday and she thinks she was drunk. Rick tells her that that's Kathleen's problem.
Maybe she needs someone to talk to.
If she wants to talk, she'll talk. I say butt out.
I completely never mind.
Oh,
I was gonna say
honestly,
I agree, and then I was like,
I actually felt like I didn't agree with Rick here because it took a lot of pushing to get Rick out of his situation with his dad, but now he's saying he's happier. So it's sort of like on one hand, he maybe knows that Kathleen doesn't know how to like handle the situation, and so he's maybe thinking like, you shouldn't talk to Kathleen about this. But it is sort of like she's not gonna. I don't know.
It's hard. You kind of see both sides because, like, you know, Rick wasn't happy that someone had called child services when it initially happened. I also really like that he says, "I'm still having problems with my dad." Like, I like that because I feel like a lot of times on teen shows and even on Degrassi, it's like once that plot has ended in that episode, we don't talk about it again, or it's just finished. But, you know, he's like, I still live with my brother. I'm still having problems with my dad. Like, this is complicated. I really like that they address that this is, you know, a long-term issue. But also, you know, I think like I understand that Caitlin wants to help, but I do think like, I think that Caitlin is not the right person to help, if that makes sense. I think that like she has this kind of savior complex. You know, she thought that she could save Rick.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
She always thinks she can save people, and
Well, she
Yeah.
is trying to get Rick to talk to Kathleen. So she's sort of like letting him know what's going on, because she's maybe just trying to get his perspective, but I think she also thinks that maybe he should be the one to talk to her because he's also had issues with his dad.
Mm. And he's just like, I've got my own problems, lady.
Yeah, but yeah, he wasn't ready to talk about it, and you're totally right. I forgot that she had really like pushed him when she thought he was having like issues, and he didn't
should
like
smile
that.
more.
yeah, he's unhappy. He should smile more. Whereas like Joey was kind of like, what should I do here? And he asked an adult and spoke to an adult about it and got adults involved. And I feel like even though Joey traditionally has zero tact, I think that he still thought about like, how can I be proactive about this? And so I've got a few comments about how Caitlin handles this as we.
Yeah, this is her first time, like, since it happened, really like bringing it up, and she does seem genuinely concerned about the situation. But yeah, there's definitely some other things going on and with her approach. Back to our B plot. So Scooter rolls up to school with his wagon, and Max shows him. Oh yeah, he rolls up to school with his wagon.
Oh,
I actually didn't.
And Max shows him 2 cigarettes that he borrowed from his dad.
This kid stole cigarettes. Where
Hell
did Scooter
yeah.
find this guy?
Wait, have we seen Max before? Like, initially I was
No.
like, who is this kid?
yeah, no, I do not think so.
Yeah. Well, I think if you have parents that smoke, you are in fact more likely to try smoking yourself.
Yeah, my brother stole cigarettes from my parents. My parents were smokers. My parents were like, drive us to school with the windows up smokers.
Oh.
Ooh, yeah.
You hate to see it.
You do hate to see it.
My dad was a smoker, but I think he would only smoke in the car if it was like a long trip, and then otherwise he would only smoke like outside or in the garage.
Oh, in the garage. Nice. That's such a dad move.
That's where dads hang.
You know what they say, smokers are jokers and jokes are funny.
Hey?
They all do.
Well, apparently that's true. Apparently that's what they say.
But yeah, Max wants to meet Scooter after school to do some smoking in the boys' room.
Smoke up, Johnny.
Yep. And he says,
Be there. Or be a nerd.
I would choose to be a nerd here. I feel
why
the choice is very clear.
Why is the plan to smoke inside of the school?
This is my question. Like, why are they not smoking like at a park or something? Like outside.
Behind some bushes.
Yeah.
A tree. There's many trees.
Yeah.
Fools. Nerds. Because they're nerds, right? It's because they're nerds.
Yeah.
That's why.
It's clearly a bad plan. The only thing I could think of was that they didn't want to be seen doing it, so they're trying to hide. I don't know.
Well, that
Might
cloud
set
of
off the
smoke
smoke
in the boys'
detector.
bathroom is
Yeah.
I don't know. It's not a great plan. All right, so before class, someone is quizzing Kathleen when Caitlin walks in and asks Kathleen if she's nervous about tonight. Kathleen shrugs her off, so then Caitlin asks if her mom is feeling better, and Kathleen says yes as she turns around and glares at Caitlin.
Daggers.
This is a lethal glare.
She's asking her in class with many people very close
Yeah.
by in earshot. I too would stare daggers.
I was still sort of on Caitlin's side at this point because I was like, well, I guess they don't really have a personal relationship where she could necessarily talk to her alone. But this is still like, yeah, no one's going to feel like this isn't a safe space to have like a sensitive conversation.
Yeah. Incredibly intrusive.
So then Caitlin asks Kathleen if her mom was drunk last night and mentions the support group that they learned about in family studies that helps kids cope with alcoholic parents. Kathleen insists that she's fine and she doesn't need any help.
I feel really conflicted. Like, I feel like on one hand, like, as we've said, like Caitlin and Kathleen, they are frenemies. And I think like getting advice from someone that you have that kind of relationship with is never going to feel like it's coming from a good place.
Yeah.
And like, obviously Kathleen does not want to talk to Caitlin about this, especially like in class. And then on the other hand, like Caitlin does seem like, concerned, and she doesn't seem like she's trying to like zing Kathleen. Like she just isn't
She's
trying
to
hold
share a resource.
Yeah.
She's like, she's trying her best, and her best is not that great.
As we see often with her, like her best is not that good. And I think like she encourages Kathleen to check out this group, and she's kind of putting the ball in her court, but she's also like, she's not offering any tangible help here. So like, I feel fine like talking about this. Like when I was in high school, my mom was married to a man who was an alcoholic, and he was like very abusive, and it was like not good to be at home. And I went to like loads of friends' houses all the time. And I always had people being like, if you need to stay at my house, you can come to my house. If you need to come to my house for dinner, or like, oh, if you want to go like talk to somebody about this, I will come with you, or like whatever. Like I had like a support system when I was in high school. And so like that was like a thing that I was able to mostly navigate, or like kind of navigate. And obviously like there's a bit of a difference here, because the people who were on that team aren't the people that Kathleen is like closest with. So like Melanie and Susie, weren't there. Like I wonder what would have been different if it would have been her kind of inner circle. But like Caitlin is kind of a very strange relationship here. But like Caitlin's not offering any kind of tangible help. It's just like, well, you should go do this thing. You need to go talk to somebody.
Right. Like, well, if your mom's an alcoholic, then you need to talk to this support group.
Nothing that comes out of Caitlin's mouth ever sounds like non-judgmental, but then also nothing that comes out of Kathleen's mouth ever doesn't sound like defensive. And so I think we're really at an impasse between these two people. Like one wants to give help, the other one doesn't want to get help. But Caitlin doesn't really want to give her help. She just kind of wants to like tell her what to do.
Got a real King Kong versus Godzilla situation here.
Very topical. Yes.
But Caitlin is sort of like, of the quest for the best team, Caitlin's the only one that is sort of friends with Kathleen. They are in the same like social group. So she maybe feels like, well, I'm the only one who witnessed this, who has any kind of relationship with Kathleen. But yeah, the relationship that she has with her is just not good enough for this to really go well. And because of Kathleen's death stare, Caitlin says she just thought that she would tell her, but Kathleen can do whatever she wants. Caitlin doesn't care. So yeah, this ends in like kind of a like tense exchange. All right, so after school, Max and Scooter goes to the boys' bathroom and hide in a stall to smoke the cigarettes. They start smoking and coughing as two boys walk into the bathroom and see the smoke coming from the top of the bathroom stall. Max and Scooter sort of sarcastically talk about how fun smoking is while coughing. I don't know. I thought the scene was really stupid.
Really awkward.
Yeah, it was very Arthur and Yick. We can move on.
I think that they just didn't, like, they didn't show them smoking, obviously. So I think they were trying to find a way to like imply that there was smoking without showing it. And the only thing I will say before we move on is, at the start of this scene, Max and Scooter are walking down the stairs, and I chose two randos in the background as my double look of the week.
Look of the week.
A double look of the week?
Because it's not a main character, I thought that I would choose two people.
Hey, man, you make the rules.
I'm the Capricorn sun here. So the first look of the week is a girl in an oversized red Levi's shirt that has like a big white stripe and like a white collar. And then the second is a dude wearing a sleeveless blue tee that has like a starburst pattern on it.
I loved that starburst tee.
I really missed the starburst pattern, but that Levi's like polo is so good.
Yeah,
I don't love like a logo plastered across a shirt, really, but
I do like
It's
the
like
font
fancy,
though. I like the
yeah,
font.
it's like a
yeah,
fancy cursive.
It's
Like,
really good.
Yeah.
Levi's is classic enough that it can work. But in general, I agree. I don't want a brand on my clothes.
I'd wear it. I had an Yves Saint Laurent polo I found at a thrift store once that I wore.
Oh,
Somebody had to tell me, "Oh, you have an Yves Saint Laurent polo?" And I was like, "What?" And they had to explain to me what the YSL logo meant. So that was I learned a lot that day.
I had a lot of like vintage Lacoste polos. I remember.
Yeah.
From
Yeah.
thrift stores that I paid like 50 cents for, and then I found out how
Totally.
much they actually sell for, and I was horrified.
Capitalism's a hell of a drug.
All that money for a little gator.
I mean, it's quite adorable.
Yeah. Chomp chomp.
So the QFTV team meets up with Miss Avery after school, and everyone has their school sweater on except for Kathleen. She forgot hers at home. She says she'll go call her mom and ask her to bring it. Do you think she's just distracted here? I'm like, Kathleen, how did you forget your sweater? That was like, we've heard about the sweater nonstop.
She's very type A, but also I guess if stuff is tough at home, you're just trying to like
Yeah.
get out like as quick as possible.
Truly. Maybe she had a repeat of the other morning and she just had to get out of there. And we need a reason for her mom to let her down.
I don't think her mom needs a reason.
Spoiler. Yeah, it's true. So Kathleen goes to the office to use the phone, and while she's dialing, Rick and Alex drop by to ask Doris for tickets to the show, but she's all out. Rick is bummed since he had big plans.
Proven non-nerd who's actually got a life just didn't have time to snag those tickets.
Exactly. He wasn't on top of it. Kathleen gets her mom on the phone and asks her to bring the sweater, but her mom has forgotten about the show, although she does agree to bring the sweater. Sorry, that was confusingly worded, but basically her mom's like, what? Bring it where?
Oh, and Doris's mandated reporter ass is all over this phone call. She is just like looking up from that typewriter.
Oh, yeah, but she doesn't say anything. She just goes back to work. But yeah, she's definitely got her eye on the situation.
Yeah.
She doesn't do anything, which I think is most likely to set it apart from Rick's plot where, you know, authorities are getting involved, whereas this is supposed to be like how Kathleen deals with how she feels.
I mean, it just sounds like a suspicious phone call, but there's nothing actually wrong or like, you know, there's nothing you can go off of from this, I'd say, as an adult who does have a responsibility to kids in this way. It's sort of like, well, I guess I'll just have to keep that tab open.
The fact that her mom doesn't like know about the show seems like a red flag because it does seem like something your parents would be like excited about and involved in. But Kathleen is still covering for her mom here because she also says something like, are you feeling well? Like she's asking coded questions to sort of like try to figure out if her mom is like drunk.
Yeah.
And her mom does sound drunk on this phone call.
Yeah. She's just like not really aware of like what's happening. All right. So Max and Scooter, still coughing, leave the boys' bathroom feeling gross. Scooter says he'll never, ever, ever smoke another dumb cigarette.
Aw.
They walk past Rick and Alex and overhear them talking about how they couldn't get tickets to the show. So Max tells him that they've got tickets and that he can have them because they don't feel well.
Okay, so here's my question. I've got two questions. So number one is, did you try smoking? And did you do it again? And my second question is, did you know anyone whose parents found their cigarettes and like made them smoke the whole pack?
So I did try smoking a few times, but every time it gave me a little tum ache, little sore tum. And actually, I didn't have any friends whose parents made them smoke the whole pack, but I had friends whose parents would buy cigarettes for them and for their friends.
I actually did know someone whose mom like bought the drugs and the cigarettes and the booze and was like, I'd really rather you do it here. I tried smoking exactly one time. I took one drag of one cigarette and was just like, this tastes bad, which is very much my like brand. Like it's why I also don't drink. It's like, oh, this tastes not good to me, so I won't do it. But I knew somebody in high school who, like, her parents found a pack of cigarettes. They did not make her smoke the whole pack. They made her eat the whole pack. They made her eat them.
That kind of sounds like
what?
child abuse.
Yeah,
Yeah,
she still
that's
smoked,
like-
by the way.
that sounds
She
like-
still smoked.
Hell yeah.
Toxic.
Yeah, it was bad. I don't know if they actually made her eat the entire pack, but I do remember her coming to school and being like, what the fuck?
Did she eat the filters?
No. It was like the
Just the
tobacco.
tobacco.
Like, yeah. Oh,
You're gonna bake a tobacco cake and you're gonna eat the whole thing.
Ooh, a tobacco cake. Could it be done? I don't think I had a cigarette until I was in my like late 20s.
That doesn't surprise me at all.
Where were you?
Poland, I think.
Oh.
Wow. I mean, I guess if you're gonna do it, do it somewhere cool.
Opale.
You also didn't drink till later.
Yeah, my first beer was a PBR, and I was like, no. And then you made me a ton of UV blue and lemonade for my 22nd birthday, because that was when I decided to get hammered.
Well, yeah, if it tastes like candy.
Oh, man, throwing up UV blue and lemonade, though.
I don't think I got sick. I just got a little...
You drank in
I just had-
moderation?
I just had a good time.
Well, good for you.
Yeah, your voice just gets like really high pitched and you give a lot of hugs.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was great.
Isn't that what happens to everybody when they drink? Oh, okay.
Not Kathleen's
oh,
mom.
Oh, wait.
Yeah, shit just got
Oh,
dark
dear.
again. Oh no.
Let's move on.
So back to the scene at hand. So yeah, they give Rick and Alex the tickets, and Rick says thanks, buddies, and gives them high fives.
Hell yeah, get that high five action.
They are stoked and try to high five each other and miss.
Look, just because you're a nerd doesn't mean you can't come in handy to the less nerds among you.
Also, the thing about Rick is he doesn't actually seem to care if someone's a nerd.
Totally.
Like he seems to be pretty nice to everybody.
He handed that licorice out to everyone he saw.
Comrade Rick.
Comrade Rick.
And also, okay, so were they in fact right to smoke the cigarettes because it has now led them to achieving their goal, which is to be cool in the eyes of Rick? Or is the lesson that they could have just been nice to Rick and achieved the same outcome?
That sounds like the lesson. I don't think they needed to make themselves sick.
But that Max, he can think on his feet, unlike some people in this episode.
Very true.
The team arrives for the quest for the best show, and everyone spots their parents in the audience, except for Kathleen. The producer tells everyone to take their seats, but Kathleen tells him she doesn't have her sweater, and he absolutely does not care. Kathleen is upset that they're going to look awful because of her, but Rick walks over and offers her his sweater because he is an angel. The producer pushes him out of the way and they start the show.
Yeah, Rick
Move
really
it.
serves that guy attitude.
They almost get into an altercation. The producer, by the way, is played by Louis Mann, who also composed music for the series.
Cool.
Ooh, I love a fact.
Just a little fact.
He is a very awkward guy. They found the perfect awkward guy to be not on camera, but part of the industry guy.
I looked into it because he was so weird. I was like, there must be some kind of backstory here. He also has I didn't look up this part, but he had maybe an Australian accent or something.
Yeah, so I looked into this because I thought I didn't get a super good look at him, and I thought it was Kit Hood because Kit Hood also, I think Kit Hood was born in the UK. I think he's English and then moved to Canada as a kid, so he's got a little bit of an accent, and I think that he also had a beard and glasses and stuff. So I was like, oh, is that who it is? And then I was like, I just looked at the credits and was like, no, and then I didn't investigate it any further.
Well, I was in true crime mode, so There's no crime element to this to this investigation, but
Why does the producer have an Australian accent?
all right, so this dude's trying to start the show, but Kathleen is distracted by the empty seat where her mom is supposed to be.
Understandable.
The Degrassi team gets the first question, and everyone expects Kathleen to answer, but she can't focus, and they get mad at her, even though none of them know the answer either.
Yeah, I didn't get this. Why is she expected to know all of the answers?
I don't know. Yeah, and Tim was like, pay attention, Kathleen.
But also, like, she looks visibly upset. And this is one of those moments where I'm
Yeah.
like, if Kathleen had, like, garnered any kind of goodwill with her fellow student, they might have tuned into that and been like, oh, Kathleen looks like she's
Right.
having a hard moment. Oh, maybe her mom's not here. And they've all seen
Right.
what happened at her house. So they might have
Right.
actually, like, had some empathy. But instead, they're just like, well, Kathleen's a little bit of a butthole.
It's sort of like a crack in her armor. Like she always like acts like she's perfect, like she does like kind of emotionless, but we're starting to see here that like this is getting to her. Everyone else's parents are there. She doesn't have her sweater because like so the first thing was that everyone had their sweater except for her, and then she still doesn't have her sweater because her mom didn't bring it. Not only did her mom let her down by not bringing the sweater, but there's also literally an empty seat. Everyone's parents are there except for her parents. So
Dang.
this is the first time we actually really see her like struggling with the fact that like she's got no support here.
I mean, I related to this moment, like, not to make it sound like I had the most depressing, like, adolescence, but, like, there were a lot of school plays that I did, and I did not have any parents that came to see it. Like, people would forget, or because my parents were divorced, like, they would argue over who was going to go which night, and then they'd both just, like, not go, or, which is, like, a very sitcom, I think, kind of situation. Or like, you know, I was like, my parents forgot to pick me up from school a lot. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like I kind of had a couple of these sort of Kathleen moments. So like, I get it, man. And you don't want to like, you don't really want to talk to your peers about it. Like, you don't really want to talk to anybody about it. You just kind of forget about bottle it up. Love to have the titular line.
Yeah, like especially when it seems like everyone else has got like the perfect family situation. So like she can't help but compare herself to everyone else in this situation and see and you know to have feelings about what everyone else has that she doesn't really have.
But also like as you grow up, you do start to realize that not everyone has a perfect family life, or like just because someone's parents are still married, like that doesn't mean that they get along, or like, you know, just because someone seems like they have a cool parent, it doesn't mean that they're actually being parented. Like maybe they have a very strange, like boundary pushing relationship, or you know what I mean? I feel like there's a lot of ways to have a dysfunctional family.
Sure,
like,
yeah.
And I think like as we get older, we realize like everyone's got stuff, you know what I mean? Like, and everybody's stuff looks different, but we do all like have it.
Mm-hmm. Every family's got their own issues.
Great. It's wonderful.
So the other team answers correctly, and because it wasn't their question, they get double points. But they don't know the answer to the next question, and Kathleen does and answers it correctly, so now they're all tied up. Kathleen also gets the next question right, and then we cut to the end of the show, and Degrassi won!
Did you guys notice that like Rick was so intense, like being like, come on, Kathleen. Like I was like, what is this dude like watching rugby? Like what is happening? He was like sports commentating like a nerd quiz show.
Maybe he's like overcompensating for the fact that no one else is there specifically for Kathleen.
Oh, I hadn't thought about that. That's actually really nice. That's a good take.
Rick.
Let's just assume that.
Oh, we love Rick.
We do love Rick. After the show, everyone is congratulating each other in the parking lot, and Caitlin tells Kathleen that she was really good and she's sorry her mom couldn't make it. Rick tells them that they were both great and grabs Caitlin's hand to go on their date, but Caitlin tells him that her parents said she can't go because it's a school night.
Okay, I've got a lot of feelings here. A lot of feelings. Why did Caitlin wait until the very last possible second to tell Rick that she couldn't go for burgers with him? Did she even ask her mom? Like, why didn't she ask ahead of time? It's like, she says tomorrow's a school day, but like it was always going to be a school night that they like. Why did she say yes? It makes me so angry. And obviously it's like set up Rick walking Kathleen home, but it's just it's like a tiny little thing that would make me so angry. I'd be like, wait a minute, like I stressed to get a ticket. I had to get a ticket off somebody else. I came, I like cheered your team on.
He came in his sweater. He specifically wore his sweater to like ask her out and to show up and like support the team that she was a part of.
Yeah, Mr. like not a joiner, Mr. like denim on denim with his Harley Davidson tee has shown up like serving us like Danny Zuko post makeover, like, you know, Letterman sweater. And what does he get? No burgers. That's what he gets.
Unbelievable.
I was gonna get extra onions on those burgers, dude.
Extra pickles, always.
Oh my god.
Yeah. And Caitlin leaves, and so Kathleen tries to give Rick his sweater back, but he says it's cold, so she can just give it to him tomorrow, and then he tells her he'll walk her home.
I wouldn't let anyone walk home alone in the dark. Even you.
But also, like, it's really nice of him that he's walking her home. He has loaned her his sweater. He is like being very kind and understanding. He's talking to her about some really personal and like tough stuff. And she's never been nice to him. Like she's referred to him as a criminal multiple times. She like kicked him off the environmental action committee.
True. Yeah,
you know what I
she was
mean? Like they came to
she acted
blows.
so shitty to him.
She was horrible to him, and he's still like putting that aside and being the bigger person because he can see that this is someone else who's struggling in a way that he has struggled, and he's like, well, I don't want that for anybody.
Totally.
Kathleen gets home and her mom is drinking and asks where she's been. She tells her tonight was a TV show, which she forgot, and her mom apologizes and says she was so tired and asks how they did. Kathleen tells her that they won, and her mom promises she'll be there next time, but Kathleen is over it. She knows her mom won't be there next time either because she never does what she says she will. She tells her that she wants her mom to be proud of her, and she tries so hard, but her mom doesn't even care, and she just ends up having to do everything by herself. Her mom tells her that she's old enough to take care of herself, but Kathleen tells her she's just a kid, and her mom says she's certainly acting like a kid right now and causing trouble. Kathleen thinks that her mom's drinking is causing trouble, but her mom says her drinking is perfectly under control and to stop talking to her mother like that. Kathleen says she's not her mother, she's a drunk, and her mom slaps her across the face. Her mom apologizes, but Kathleen runs to her room and cries.
This is some powerhouse acting from Kathleen, I think, in this scene. Like, this is such a well done Degrassi moment. They don't cut away. It's so, I mean, I guess we don't really know if this is the first time that they've had an argument like this, but you know, you really understand, like, you know, this is what Kathleen is living with, and she can't even turn to her other parent because her dad isn't around. I don't know.
It seems like she's like trying to protect her mom when she talks to her dad, but she's probably also trying to protect her dad. He's off working. I don't think we know specifically what he's doing, but she doesn't want him to worry, like, because he's already away from the family, and so she doesn't really, she can't talk to her mom about it, obviously. Like, because it is like, well, is this the best time to talk to her mom? But it's like, when is a good time to talk to her mom about this? There's no good time to talk to her mom about this. So this is kind of just how it ends up, like, coming out.
And it might also be that she's afraid to tell her dad what's going on because she'd be worried that her parents might split up, or she might be worried that she'd be told she has to go live with a different relative or something like that. Like, there could be any number of reasons that she's protecting her mom, or that she and her mom did have a good relationship before her mom started drinking in this quantity. And so maybe it's even that she's still kind of protecting the mom that she had a relationship with.
Right. And it could just be that like feeling sick or like feeling unwell is coded language, but that might also just be how she thinks about it, or that might be how her mom describes it, like, oh, I'm not feeling good, so I'm going to have a drink. So it is kind of like, you know, kids might not understand like why somebody would be drinking, and so she's maybe thinking of it as like, this is like my mom is unwell, but so then how do you like talk to somebody about something like that?
But she also seems to be placing a lot of this on herself and saying, like, I just want you to be proud of me. And so I'm sure she also thinks if she just does well enough, if she just excels enough, if she succeeds enough, then her mom won't need to drink anymore.
Yeah, which is a classic like kid perspective of, you know, I'm in control, or I can control this situation. If I just do the right things, then my parents are going to act differently towards me. So, before class starts the next day, everyone is congratulating Kathleen when Caitlin walks over to ask her how her mom is again. Rick walks in and says hi to both of them, and Caitlin apologizes for her dumb parents canceling their plans. Then, right in front of Caitlin, Kathleen returns Rick's sweater and thanks him for walking her home. Caitlin asks Rick if he walked her home, and Kathleen replies, yeah, and then moves a seat closer to Rick to tell him that she's going to take his advice to call that group. And we end with a freeze frame on Kathleen smiling while Caitlin looks worried behind her.
More revenge flirting.
Yeah, I was going to say, okay, so the generous read on this is that Kathleen didn't want to take advice from someone who, you know, hadn't been in her shoes. And so like talking to Rick and seeing that it can get better might have been helpful. But the realistic read on this is that Kathleen is basically revenge flirting to get back at Caitlin for not minding her own dang business.
I think she felt like Caitlin had the upper hand because Caitlin knew something sensitive about her. And so she's trying to get the upper hand back herself in the relationship by being like, well, I'm about to take your man.
Which is also like she's trying to leverage Rick, a human person, in this situation, being a total creep. He was just trying to be her friend.
Yeah, and
no.
It's him.
It's a weird way to end an episode where, you know, we're sort of the idea is that we should be sensitive towards Kathleen. And then she just, like, the very last thing she does is, like, kind of gross. Exactly. Like, she's not just, like, genuinely grateful to Rick. She's using it to, like, get back at Caitlin and to try to like get close to him, but it seems like maybe she has feelings for him. It seems like it's only to like make Caitlin upset.
I don't like the whole thing. It stinks.
It's kind of like we go through this whole cycle and then we just end up feeling exactly the same about Kathleen.
Yeah, like
Oops.
we see this fight between her and her mom, and I'm finally like, oh my God, Kathleen's a human being. And then we go back to school and I'm like, oh no,
she's
the worst.
Yeah.
Accountability is real.
Can't relate.
I yet again related to Scooter here. My ass has been a wholesome nerd from day one, and as I've already said, I'm positive I've said the exact words, but I heard smoking is hazardous to your health.
Yeah, I also related to Scooter. So obviously, like, as I mentioned, I tried smoking exactly one time and hated it and was a big nerd about it. I also, unfortunately, related to Caitlin because I also offer unsolicited, aggressive help.
Well, I related to Max in this episode because I also want to be cool. I would not pressure a sweet baby like Scooter into smoking, but when I was younger, as I said, I also smoked a cigarette and got a tummy ache and could see myself getting caught up in some similar B-plot shenanigans. And if I'm being honest, I also related to Kathleen's death stare because my energy will also shift like that and I will stare straight through your very being if you come at me, bro.
It's true. I did feel like you have shot laser beams at me with your eyes and disintegrated me before.
Sometimes it happens.
I deserved it.
I can't always control it.
Yeah.
So, friends, what did we learn today?
So I learned that when some even bigger dorks take a look at your life that they know nothing about and assess that you are the nerd, fuck them. They undoubtedly have less going on in their lives than you do if they have enough time to waste trying to cut you down. But even when feeling insecure, it's not worth it trying to do dumb stuff to impress people, because usually getting cool cred is just about being your chill self and being in the right place at the right time.
This week, I think we learned that when someone says, "My mom isn't feeling well," you shouldn't still insist on going to their house. It will have a butterfly effect. But also, I think that we learned that sometimes people who act out might not be getting the attention that they need at home. And it's hard to feel bad for someone like Kathleen, because she's truly mean and horrible to everyone, even the people that she calls her friends. But she does still deserve to be loved and supported by her parents. I think we also learned that we need to consider the kinds of relationships that we have with people before we offer our assistance. Caitlin isn't actually close to Kathleen, and the two are almost always in competition. So it doesn't feel like the advice that she gives her is really coming from any kind of good place, and more just a place of moral posturing. Even if Caitlin is legitimately concerned, which I believe she is, she's mostly just needling Kathleen and hasn't offered any actual help, like going to a meeting of this group with her or telling her that she can come over to her house if she needs to. And I think that there are, as I've already said, like tangible ways that we can help people that go beyond finger pointing. But Caitlin is more concerned with being right than being good.
So I think we were supposed to learn that hurt people hurt people. So part of the reason that Kathleen lashes out at everyone is because she's overcompensating for what she's missing at home: love, support, and feeling seen. She doesn't feel valued, so she tries to elevate herself by putting other people down. She's also strong because she has to be, and she sees you, Caitlin. Kathleen knows that they are not friends like that, so she's really suspicious of Caitlin's intentions. And while Caitlin is maybe genuinely trying to help, she also seems to take some pleasure in finding a weakness to exploit in Kathleen's life. Regardless of her intentions, she does end up helping Kathleen by letting Rick know what's going on, and while she may come to regret it, she brought two people together who have suffered in similar ways, and sometimes all you really need to know is that you're not alone.
You can listen to I'm Sorry, Okay, a Degrassi podcast on Acast, Spotify, Stitcher, or wherever you listen to podcasts. And if you enjoy what we're doing here at I'm Sorry, Okay, be sure to give us a rating and a review on Apple Podcasts.
Thanks for listening. You can follow us on social media at I'm Sorry Okay Pod, OK is spelled O-K-A-Y, and email us at I'mSorryOKPod@gmail.com. That's it for Bottled Up. Next week we'll be watching Sealed with a Kiss.